What's up, everybody? This is Adam Nestle for Inside Proving Ground. We're going to take an in-depth look with the competitors that are in Proving Ground, and there's no better place to start than at the top. My guest tonight, the ace, Mike Montero. Mike, thank you for joining us.
Happy to be here.
So let's start right off the bat. For the people that don't know you, who is Mike Montero?
Mike Montero is a kid that grew up loving wrestling. I mean, I grew up in Fall River, Massachusetts, in an area where it's the safest thing to do was to sit home and watch wrestling. It could get yourself into a lot of trouble. Trouble was pretty easy to find you. That's honestly all I ever wanted to do in my life was be a wrestler or be a Power Ranger. So it's kind of worked out. I guess I was around like 10 or 11. It was right around WrestleMania 17. I saw what the Hardys, Edge and Christian, and the Dudleys were willing to do to their bodies to be the tag team champions, and that's when I knew I wanted to be a wrestler.
Gotcha.
So like from the time I was like 10 years old, I was obsessing. Like, I want to be a wrestler. I want to wrestle. Like I was wrestling in my schoolyards and getting recess taken away from me and things like that. I had a core group of friends. A lot of them they actually wrestle today, but we kind of like made our own little federation where it was ridiculous. We like put our own contracts together and had certain people sign that were going to wrestle with us. We went to KB Toys and bought a whole bunch of foam replica belts, and now because we had the belts, we were pretty much in charge, so everybody wanted to come work for us. And it started to kind of gain a little cult following. We would gather people, because where I lived in like a project, so there was kids, families like all over the place. So we would gather in like one like square setting of where the houses were, and we'd put some bungee cords together. The place was filled with shopping carts from people going grocery shopping and leaving their carts there. So we'd use those as the corner posts, and we'd set it up, and then we'd start to draw a crowd. And after a few years of it being like just basically not knowing, like we're just fighting to the death, like the street lights are coming on, and then we're like, okay, let's maybe put some stories together and do something like that. And then a couple of my friends, we decided like, oh, maybe if we start to create our own website, then maybe if we post our videos on there, the WWE will see us, and somebody will pick us up, and we'll get signed or something like that. So then we were at this park, because after getting kicked out of 1,000,001 places for backyard wrestling, we went to this random park to just film a couple of shots, because we never really filmed like full matches. It was just like, oh, this ridiculous stunt happened, so let's take that clip and we'll throw it into this big like highlight video or something like that. And Chris Cruz actually, like, he had just moved to Fall River, and he was driving by, and he saw one of our guys upside down for a vertebraker, and he pulled over on the side of the road, and he was like, what are you guys doing? You're gonna hurt somebody, what are you doing? And we're like 16, so we're like, what do you know? Who are you, guy? Like, stopping over here. He's like, actually, I'm a professional wrestler. And he pulls out this like card from like one of the promotions he works for. I can't even remember which one it was, but he literally just goes, get in this car with me right now. And we just looked at each other, and it was like, I don't know if it was like the mystery of, it was like, this guy could be a creep, or he could be leading us to the promised land. Sure. And like the 50-50 chance I was willing to take. So
that's dicey.
Yeah,
that's really dicey.
Yeah, so we got in his car and he drove us over to the Karoba. And that was where we met Brickhouse Baker, who was his trainer. We met guys like Kellen Thomas and Anthony Stone, Davey Cash, Chris Pyro, guys like that. And we got our feet wet right there. We started training there. It was a little rough because we were paying our dues, but like as months are going by, it was like, are we ever going to get a chance to do something? And I started getting bored with that. In the middle of training and stuff like that, while backyard wrestling, we got tied in with T Phoenix. And I met T Phoenix because he wrestled for some random, like it was weird. We were indie backyard wrestlers. Like me and my core group of friends, we traveled to other people's like their fields or wherever it is that they backyard wrestled, and we would run like inter-promotional shows. So that's how I met T Phoenix. Was he was working for some random promotion in Pawtucket, and we just drove from Fall River, never met these guys, just drove up there to wrestle with them. And then T finally decided he was going to buy his own ring, and that was a lot of my training too came from T having his ring in his backyard, because not only would we go to Karoba to train with Brickhouse, we would also go to T's house, and in the mornings before the shows we would be training in the ring with crews like myself, Devin Blaze, Tommy Trainwreck, Jason Devine, guys like that. We were in there every 2 weeks in the ring for hours at a time. So we were gaining a lot of experience and also having matches. So we were having like live experience. We were having fun, and then training over at the Karoba. We're doing security for shows, breaking down rings, bringing rings, hauling them out windows, and all kinds of stuff. And it was rough, but it started to feel like that work, nothing was ever going to come out of it. So I was one of the first guys to decide, well, you know what? I'm going to go and just have fun at RWA and see how that goes. And at RWA, there was no pressure. It was fun. Everybody was there to have fun. We were just trying to have good matches, just put on a good show. And that really, like, you want to talk about gaining a cult following. The RWA really gained a cult following. Like, just people would show up and just one day and they would never leave. And then the crowd started getting bigger. And then once T got his first building in Pawtucket, the Bump Factory, then that's when things really took off. And it was starting to get like big. You know, we had our first live show at the end of '09, and that was where I wanted to be. I was like, I didn't want to be anywhere else. But maybe a year later, I was starting to get that itch of like, well, I've wrestled everybody here. Now I want to go and continue what I was doing before, and that's when I just randomly, we totally lied, but I went to this school in Fall River, it was Lethal Pro. It was Lethal Pro Wrestling. They had their own little training center, and it was run by Dan Freitas and Brian Noon's Pride. They were trained by Bob Evans. So we went in there and totally lied to him, and we were like, Mike Baker sent us here. And they were like, well, we kind of have heat with Mike Baker right now, so I don't know why he would send his students over there. And we're like, well, yeah, he said we should come over here so we can try to learn some new stuff, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, all right, we'll give you guys a shot. So we did one of their drills, and we were better than a lot of the guys that they were actually training. So there was guys there that I don't know if I'm supposed to say this, but there was guys that were paying a tuition to be there. And then there was us who were paying like a couple of dollars here, a couple of dollars there to come every week because they saw potential in us. And that was where I learned how to be a wrestler. I learned the mechanics of wrestling in T's ring, training at the Karoba. But those guys showed me how to be an individual, showed me who Mike Montero was.
So Mike, you've kind of crafted your way through RWA and all these other places, and I don't really know much about you, but the first thing I noticed when we had a conversation was that you've got this giant chip on your shoulder. You've put all the work in, and I'm curious, why do you feel like there's this giant chip on your shoulder?
I guess it's because I feel like everywhere I go, I'm one of the best. Everything I put into my matches, it means something to me. Like I want to generate real emotion. I want people to feel the way I felt as a kid. I want to feel that grit. I want people to feel that same way that I do, and I feel like I get overlooked for my passion. And I feel like a lot of guys who couldn't wear my kick pads on their best day get opportunities that I don't get. And it's not that I'm bitter, and it's not that I don't feel like I've worked hard enough, because that's what everybody goes to say. That's the first thing they say is, well, if you're complaining about this guy's opportunity, well, maybe you're not doing it. Well, how long can I keep doing it and you guys just turn a blind eye? That's the chip that I have on my shoulder, is the fact that everywhere I go, I'm one of the best, but there's 3 out of 10 promotions who see that. And I'm still trying to figure out why that is.
Do you think it's politics at all? What do you think?
I think so. I do. I mean, I've stressed this before. I've said that, like, I've been on shows where I was completely restricted as to what I could do, whereas there's other guys who can do whatever they want, and I'm specifically restricted. Somehow managed to have the best match on the card still, but that doesn't matter. We want to take care of the schools that have name value. It's like you want to leech off of it. It was easy for promotions to come to buildings like the Chop Shop and leech off of the building because they can make money off of it in their own promotion and help promote RWA and help promote companies, but really just leech off of them and use them to their own benefit. And instead of help those guys, just throw them on the show somewhere, stick them somewhere. Oh, you're the pre-show, you're the showcase match. After I've wrestled for you for over a year and a half, how can you call me the showcase match? I'm one of your guys now. You know what I'm saying? It's like there's companies that they'll use you in that capacity, and they just don't care because the next flash in the pan indie guy is going to come up, and we're going to gravitate to that guy. To me, that's not my style. To me, everybody does that. I want to be a part of the promotions that don't have the same 5 guys running the place. Like I want to be a pioneer. That's why I always jump to promotions who just start, because I want to be the guy who sets the tone. I want to be the guy that people remember as the one that paved the way as this promotion grows and becomes bigger. That's where I find my passion.
I see you getting fired up.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And you know what? It's funny because I can feel that same mentality all across the region, and it hurts because I see. We all see it, and it's a crime. It's
easy. It seems like it's easier to hurt people than it is to help them, and I don't think it has to be that way. I feel like if we all work together, we could make, especially independent wrestling in New England. It's already big, but we could make it so much bigger.
Switching gears. It's kind of a hot topic. I mean, it seems like it's very vogue right now, especially with New Japan Pro Wrestling. A lot of people call themselves the Ace. So I know you've been asked this question millions of times. For the people at home that don't know, you call yourself the Ace Mike Montero. It's not just a nickname for you. And everybody calls themselves, you see it in higher promotions, they're the ace of a promotion or something like that. What is it about Mike Montero that makes you the true ace?
I guess it's the fact that I don't need to be a flamboyant character. I don't need to have all those ridiculous layers, and I don't need to be extravagant, because I'm no different. I feel like I can relate to the person on the other side of the rail because I'm no different than they are. And sometimes a lot of people say I don't look like I'm any different than they are. And I feel like that's what separates me from everyone else, is the fact that I'm just like one of them. I'm a kid who grew up loving this. And I had my first match in front of a live crowd where money was put in my hand when I was 17 years old. I'm 27. I've been wrestling for 10 years. Everywhere I've gone, those fans have watched me grow up. They've watched me become a man. And on any given night, I can go out there and I can have the best match on the card with some of the best wrestlers in the world. And that's what separates me from all the other aces, is because it's just a name now. Like, when I came up with it, it was cool. Now it's, it's like, I started that trend, and like I said before, that's what I do, is I'm a trendsetter.
It doesn't piss you off, does it?
When you're younger, things like that piss you off, but I take it, especially like a lot of people get mad about the stealing moves thing and stuff like that. To me, I look at it as like, if you're gonna steal that, and now New Japan, is places like that are using it, then what's that say for me? You know what I mean? I take that as a compliment more than getting pissed off about it or being offended. Now that I'm more mature, I feel like, it's sure, everybody calls himself the ace, but I know in my heart who the real ace is. I know who started it. I know who is the ace. It doesn't make a difference to me.
Gotcha.
You see me in the ring, and you know who the ace is.
So, Mike, now you're in Proving Ground. What made you choose Proving Ground, and why is Proving Ground the place for Mike Montero?
I see a lot of potential in Proving Ground. Proving Ground reminds me a lot of the RWA, in the sense of they started running studio tapings where it's basically everybody's fighting for respect within the locker room, respect for the boys, and it's a competition to see who's going to have the best match, not for just the viewers who are watching on YouTube or wherever else. It's the boys, who is the best. And coming to Proving Ground, I miss that mentality, because there's not a lot of companies who genuinely do studio tapings anymore. So I miss that mentality of like, oh man, I got to go out there and I have to have the best match, and not just for me, just to say I was better than that one. And I got that vibe off of Proving Ground right off the gate, was that they're very, very similar to the way RWA progressed, and the way they want to progress is very similar. And I mean, they're doing live shows now, and it's evolution. That's what it is. They're rising up, and there's a lot of young talent and that's one of those things that I was talking about before, is young talent that nobody sees. Like, I don't want to wrestle the same 5 guys over and over and over again. I want to have a different match with a different opponent every single time I step in the ring. And that's what Proving Ground provides. It provides unique matchups, unique opponents, unique match types.
So let's bounce off that for a second. Gun to your head right now, who are the type of people that just no dollar amount needed, just you want them tomorrow in Proving Ground? Who are the people that you'd like to see Mike Montero face?
Well, I like to take a crack at Sean Leader again, that's for sure.
Okay.
I want to get in there with Dick Lane, because Dick Lane he is quite the character, but he has such untapped potential, and I want to show people the wrestler that Dick Lane is. He's another one. Conway, because as much as I have something to prove, I feel like he's got something to prove to me. He talks a lot of smack. I want to see him back it up. He wants to be the ace. He wants to be the gatekeeper. Well, step up. Step up.
So let's talk about that. On March 16th, you're going to be in a ladder match for the very first Proving Ground Championship, and it's an honor for everybody that's in it. But let's go through all those competitors. We'll start off with Sean Leader. You mentioned Sean Leader. What do you feel? What comes to mind when you think about Sean Leader?
Well, this is a ladder match. I've had a lot of these myself, and the key to winning this is to be willing to do absolutely anything. And when I look at the other 4 competitors in this thing, Sean Leader is the only guy other than me that I know is willing to do absolutely anything, and that's what makes him dangerous.
Let's talk about Shay Cash. He's got quite a long road with him.
Yes, I've had quite the tag team history with Shay Cash. Shay Cash is a bruiser, and now what? Put a ladder in his hand. You can only imagine what he's going to do.
Seems like a rough night. From one brute to another, we're going to Kevin Giles next. I mean, to a lot of people, he's sneaky. He's very hard-hitting. I'm curious what your thoughts are on somebody like him.
He's going to have to be the guy that, I know we're not all friends out there, but for a brief moment in time, I think we might have to be friends to be able to take him down, because he's not the guy that one man is going to take out. It's going to have to take the whole crew.
And finally, I left this for last because I quite frankly just want to tee you up for this one. Derek Conway.
I appreciate the brashness of Derek Conway. I do, because I want to see guys like that rise up in Proving Ground. And I can understand why he's upset, because before I got here, you could make the argument that this was his house. And I can guarantee you that it eats him up every single day, knowing that it took one night. It took one night. And I run this now. And I know that eats at him. But the thing is, if he wants to do something about it, he knows where I am. I'm not hiding. I'm the gatekeeper. Everybody who steps in the ring with me knows that I'm the measuring stick. And if he wants to change that, he's going to have to go that extra mile. He's going to have to be able to wrestle for 35 minutes at a time. He's got to be able to climb that ladder and dig deep and pull that championship down. And with guys like myself and Sean Leader out there, guys like Giles and Shay Cash, I don't know if he's man enough to do that.
Wow. So I get this sense of us talking that there's a lot of pride here. My last question to you is March 16th, level 3. What would it mean to Mike Montero to become the very first Proving Ground champion?
It's vindication. It's proof to everyone watching that I am exactly what I say I am. When I hold that championship high above my head, everyone's going to know that I'm the best, because that championship says so. And there can only be one first, and it's going to be the ace.
Well, Mike, thank you for your time. I appreciate it. Best of luck at level 3.
Thank you.